Welcome back to another episode of the Strive for 25 podcast. And I've got a friend of mine, an amazing guest, DeJaneiro Jones, who's a local St. Louis artist. And where are we?
We're at the University City Public Library, and the name of the show is Tenacity, Pushing the Boundaries of Colors and Humanity.
So we're going to be talking about art as a profession, some of the inspirations that has inspired you, and also some of the business side of things as well, which I don't think many people talk about. You started your art journey back in 2005, right?
Yeah, I used to own a clothing store, and I tell people that I got tired of folks coming to the store not buying anything. So I said I got to find something to do with my time. So I started painting, but I've always been a fan and a patron of the art since I was 18 years old. But I didn't start being what I call a practitioner of it until 2005. So I've been painting now for 18 years, being a self-taught artist.
And self-taught artist, that means no student loan debts, no education courses, debts, all that stuff.
I have none of those hang-ups or any of that pressure to work from.
So to kind of work our way from now to backwards a little bit. So right here you got an exhibit here in the University City Public Library.
Yeah.
It's been on for over a month or so. And you've been part of different exhibits around St. Louis. So how would you describe your painting and kind of where you are in your journey?
Well, I use a lot of found objects in my work. It's always an inquiry and looking at what I'm doing because I go to a lot of estate sales and I go to a lot of auction houses. And so I like to, bring flavor from what I've ran across and then incorporate it into my work. So I never know, what I'm going to create. I can't say that I've been commissioned by anybody to do anything, but I have been getting some very good feedback in terms of people that have been supporting me throughout the years, and I'm able to create different iterations here and there.
So for example, the painting that we're sitting in front of,
yes,
what is this one all about, and kind of when did you paint it
also? So this is called Harmony. I did this back in 2017, right before we experienced COVID. And it was kind of like my intergalactic play of color, into the cosmos, and a lot of greens going on, thinking about prosperity and what I'm doing, and just bringing energetic life out of nowhere, to something.
So, and around the corner there's another one. That's inspired by Ed Dwight, which we'll actually show and talk about.
Yeah.
From a painting standpoint and generating income standpoint, how does that journey look like?
Well, the reality about art is that nobody has to have any art. It's a luxury, but you do need groceries. So I tell people to look at art as an investment, but also something to make you feel good about, the space that you're around. It's about, the atmosphere and, bringing the outside in, so many different things go through my mind when I think about art. And it's all around us. So, we as artists just trying to get you to slow down just for a little bit and, take in what's already around you. So, I don't know if does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper because, when you first started painting, in 2005 to the point where you were able to generate revenue, how long of a gap was
Well,
that?
there's always been a gap, but because of me buying and selling the antiques, I have that cushion. So when I'm not selling my art, I'm selling, antiques and flipping, buying and selling, different antiques, which allows me to, have a little change, and then I can get some stuff framed, and somebody may patronize me, and then I'm able to do another iteration of work. And so I've just been building and expounding, that's been my little, business model, and, that's what I've been doing,
So going to estate sales,
and
then what's your process for selling it on the back end?
Well, I go to estate sales, and then I turn around and take them to auction houses, hoping that they may go for more than what I paid for it. And I have a little Etsy store, so I have different avenues that I deal with. I deal with some people that own consignment shops, So, I have about, 4 different outlets, in terms of what I'm doing and my approach to it, so.
And in that world, would you say reputation or relationships have an impact on just being able to do what you do with the antiques?
Absolutely, because, there's some vendors and people that I work with in the estate sale business that some people find difficult to work with, but they're beautiful with me. Because, I understand some people that are no nonsense. It takes all kind of people to make the world go round. So whereas somebody would say, oh man, they got terrible spirit and all that. Well, I mean, I'm doing business. I'm not going home with them. I'm not going to Florida with you. Or, we're doing business and, so I don't know, man. It's how you respond to things, I think. And I've always been great at responding, to things. And,
You and I have talked about that
Yeah.
a lot actually recently.
Yeah.
Controlling what you can control and not focusing energy on stuff that you can't control.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about anything that you can't control. That's one of Murphy's laws.
You've mentioned you don't believe in the starving artist.
No, I've never bought
mentality.
into that. No.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that you're not reliant 100% on the revenue from the artwork and you have other means to be able to keep things going?
Well, I mean, there are different things, that an artist, must do to, keep himself, going. One is that it takes money to buy the materials. I mean, people know that you're an artist, but that don't mean they're going to call you and say, hey, I got your art supplies for you. Make this phenomenal work that I know you're capable of doing. That's not going to happen. And so, you got to learn how to be, assertive and, and sell yourself and, rise to the occasion and, network. And I mean, there's so many, things that you got to do, you got to get yourself out that comfort zone of being, broke in some cases, so, some people can be content with, having less. So it's, it's definitely a mindset, is what I'm saying.
So, in preparing for this interview, we met somebody the previous week.
Yeah, young
Anna.
lady. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
she's in the beginning of her journey. She's got some amazing stuff she's been putting out, and she's working on some more stuff. So with that kind of mentality, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that's just trying to get their stuff out there like that?
Well, like I told Anna, I mean, I told her that, just because you're not selling doesn't mean that you're doing the wrong thing. It's just that, we tend to think that family and friends are the ones that's going to get us to the next level, when in fact your help is going to come from somebody that doesn't know anything about you. And, although we would like to give our family and friends that award and them accolades of being supportive, and, you just can't wait on them to, see the value, And, I've never seeked anybody's validation. I never ran what I was doing across anybody to ask them what they thought about what I was doing. I just acted, and did what I thought, was good for me in my situation. And so, you got, at some point, you got to take a leap of faith and, start investing in yourself. And so that's what I did. I've invested in myself. I betted on myself. I mean, I've done all these things. To be standing here, talking to you. So,
from a standpoint of relationships, is there a opportunity or a door that opened because of understanding the game and how relationships matter?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, but that comes from the networking.
What type of person should someone be aware of in this world?
Well, you got to be aware of people that that mean to help you genuinely without any ulterior motives, or somebody that's not going to help you and hold it over your head. You got to be very careful with those kind of people. And then some people have a sense of entitlement. They think that they are responsible, for your success in some kind of capacity, when in fact they did nothing to try to bring any kind of awareness to what you were doing. But everybody wants to be around a star and a celebrity, so I get that. But how many people are willing to sacrifice? And I've sacrificed a whole lot. I'll be 50 next year, so I've sacrificed friends that didn't understand. What you mean you're artists? What are you talking about? Like, I think this is what I'm gonna stick with here. And it's therapy in it. So, it takes a different mindset, one has to develop, to take on this title of being, artist. And it's an ever evolving role, you know. I've now become, an activist, to some degree, from being in the arts, advocate. So different things.
Mentor.
Yeah, mentoring, so, it's different, caveats to this thing, And so, you never stop learning, man.
What, from a standpoint of marketing yourself, what's one thing that you've done that, helped kind of get leverage or get traction?
Well, I've hired a branding strategy agency to assist me in trying to get in different markets, and not being able to be in pigeonholed to being, St. Don't get me wrong, I have no problem with somebody saying St. Louis-based artist, but to me, that doesn't define, who, I'm a global player. I think I like to, see myself as playing globally, because we're in $1 billion industry. So why aim low? So it's a mindset that one has to develop, in terms of wanting and getting out of that comfort zone, that level of complacency. It's not a good place to be in. Yeah.
There's no manager, no one holding deadlines over you.
Nah.
You're on your own, so you got to manage
you got
your own stuff.
Yeah, I have no other choice but to get it together.
Yeah.
I don't have the liberty and the leisure of messing up. Now, but I will say that there's nothing wrong with hitting that restart button. If you find out something and say, hey, this ain't for me, and you're able to board ship, then do that. But always be willing to learn. And I think some people they're not willing to put the time and effort in to learn what they're doing. So
let's take a little walk and look at some pictures.
Yeah.
Or paintings. Jesus Christ.
Let's look at this piece dealing with Ed Dwight that I did. So this is entitled Edward Dwight. I did this piece dealing with Edward Dwight, who was he's still living. He's 91 years old. He's an astronaut that didn't get a chance to get up to go in space because of race at the time. And at the time, it was the 50th anniversary of the man going around the moon. And so I thought about it, Ed Dwight, who I met when I was a teenager. And I thought about, his plight and all of that.
In that moment in time, he was slated to be part of the crew that went to the moon.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was in the late 60s? No, 70s, right?
60s.
60s?
60s.
So, obviously...
And Kennedy gets killed, and so that was the end of that. And some say that, they even tried to say that he had something to do with Kennedy's death. I mean, it was just... I tell anybody, look into the story of Ed Dwight, because it's just, it's just an American story.
So for his journey personally,
Yeah.
I think he's from Kansas City, or lived in Kansas City at one point.
Yeah.
Bronze sculptor.
Yeah.
What stands out with his journey that you've taken from or learned from?
Well, he does these heroic figures that I remember seeing when I was a teenager. I was part of St. Paul Saturdays, a manhood and leadership development group started by Dr. William Harrison, who had went to school with Ed Dwight at Morehouse College. And so Ed Dwight was also in the Air Force along with Dr. William Harrison. So we went to go see Ed Dwight's work in Kansas City. That's where he was born at. And Ed Dwight's work deals with heroic, scenes and history and stuff and different figures. And I remember that. So I was like, you know what? I need to make a painting dealing with, Ed Dwight, because it's such a terrible story what happened to him. But still, it's a defiant moment in time that I've never seen anybody reference to it. So I said, well, okay, this is the time to do it. So this is what I came up with. And I did it back in, back in 19, right around COVID.
So can you talk a little bit about the texture?
So the texture that you're looking at is, it's meant to be like you're out of space, of course, and it's made from this old vinyl that was in a warehouse that did. It was an ad agency, and so they had this really, really thick, vibrant vinyl. I was like, man, it almost feels like car upholstery. And so I said, you know what? This would be good because it's like indestructible, And then I put a lot of layers of paint. We're talking over two years of, putting layers and layers of different paint over it, spray paint, acrylic paint, aqua coat, all kind of other. I even have some beer in there to accentuate some of the colors because the yeast interacts with the paint, which causes it to be a light, like a muted color almost. And these circular motifs you see in here, like portals, that goes into one's soul and, their being, and, it's kind of like an outer body experience almost. So it's a lot going on, It's a lot going on.
Space, right? But time and knowledge.
Yes. The three
talk-
in tandem. Time is something that we all want more of. We all have to have space, among us, and you never stop learning. If you do, you're at your dumbest point. So, but time is the essential thing with this.
I always want more of it.
Yeah, we always want more time. Yeah. So this piece here is dealing with, what happened to us at Washington University with the mural that was defaced by this white supremacy group called Patriot Front. And so you'll see, some, patterns of graffiti and, different objects that I've acquired from estate sales and whatnot. I even have some currency from Chairman Mao. That's a picture of Chairman Mao on there. And the Bail Project is a project dealing with the mass incarceration and things of that nature. But there was a pivotal moment in history here in St. Louis when we did this mural, because the white supremacy group that's responsible for defacing the mural, it started off as being a federal hate crime, but because of where the university is positioned, it's now been taken down to a misdemeanor and considered freedom of speech. So we haven't got any justice since the defacement of the mural.
It reads life.
Huh?
It reads life.
Yes, life. Yeah.
For this piece, tell me more about that.
So it's just a mantra that I like to use all the time in my work. Life and time. Something that makes us think. It doesn't necessarily mean any thing, but we all need more life. We all need more time. So I'll put a word out there. Just to invoke some thinking. More thinking on it. So I did a lot of series of work dealing with currency. It's not that I've been to these places. I've been fortunate enough to have people literally give me currency, to work. So this piece here is from Yugoslavia. This currency is from Yugoslavia, and I just like the iconography in it, in the way that the colors are, muted. This one here is dealing with Japan. This is a Japanese government note. I also found out in using and incorporating this currency in my work that the United States is responsible for United Nations. Therefore, we set up a lot of the printing companies throughout the world and printed currency for everybody throughout the world. So you'll see the fonts are like, why does it look so much like American money? Well, we were behind, the printing of a lot of the currency. So this piece here is, it's on some corrugated cardboard, and this piece here is from Costa Rica. This note here is dealing with the Japanese government. I don't know if you've been following the news, but the Japanese have just decided to buy U.S. steel. And so there's a big steel plant in Granite City, Illinois that's about to be owned by the Japanese government. So we'll see how that works. And this is Saddam Hussein, who was the president of Saudi Arabia. And I decided to, put him on a piece of art because I'd never seen, his image outside of, on the news. So I said, I'm gonna do some artwork dealing with that.